All right, 30 teams, 30 minutes. We're going to keep grinding them out. We're going to go ahead and talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers on this one. 15 minutes on the clock since I'm solo. Cleveland, they have a lot of players in the same group, and usually I talk about players that I think, to start off with, is the most impactful to the season. But they have a lot of players in the same group, and you have Garland. You have the young rookie that they just got, Okoro, and then you have Sexton, and then you have Drummond that really rounds out their core of players that provide impact, and then you have Kevin Love as the veteran. So I'll go ahead and start off with Sexton. Sexton is a player who ended the season very well as far as points wise. Is more athletic guard than Garland. Both of them, they're an ill-fated combo to me because neither one of them is a true distributor. They're both scoring guards. And maybe the situation could work. We've seen situations like that work in the past with Dame and CJ McCollum, where, Dame is a point guard and he's a point guard as well, but he's a score first point guard. But I don't think either one of these players are going to get to the level of that. Darius Garland, or Derek. I think it's Darius Garland. Let me look that up. I'm over here pitching the young king's name. Well, Garland, he got a lot of comparisons to Kyrie Irving, and I've talked on previous podcasts with teams that ground-bound guards it takes them a while to get things going. You look throughout NBA history, the guards that usually splash are the guards with this freakish athletic ability: Rose, John Wall, Westbrook, even this last year with Ja Morant. These are explosive guards with freak athletic ability. Sexton is a good athlete, but he's not to that caliber. But you can kind of see his development coming into his own in his second year. And hopefully that moves forward with Garland as well. He got a lot of Kyrie Irving comparisons. Okoro, he played big in the preseason, but we'll see what that portends to in the regular season. But, there's a lot of eggs in that basket. Looking at the guard rotation, you have Dante Exum. He's another guard who's probably out of that tier where people look at him as a future all-star and things of that nature, but there was a time he was looked at like that. So they have an interesting guard rotation with that. Then Okoro, young rookie, 6'5", so he's a little bit undersized to be playing the three. That's what I thought about when I first saw him play, but I think that they're just going best available talent at the position that the Cavs were in. It's just an interesting thing. You see them kind of middling right now. And I remember when LeBron James last year in Cleveland, there was a lot of talk from their GM / owner that they didn't want to trade the pick that became Sexton because they didn't want to be left high and dry when LeBron left. And I was of the school of thought that you have LeBron James as a once in a lifetime, once in your team's history, that you're probably going to have the best player in the NBA, who's arguably the greatest player to ever play in the league. The options of any team having that are slim to none. So when you have that on your team, that's a comet passing your orbit. It just doesn't happen frequently. So you have to go all in and live with the knowledge of knowing that you went all in during that time. And, Colin Sexton's a fine player, but especially with how tight that game one was when LeBron had 50 points and, JR forgot to score. If they would have gotten Kemba Walker, who's someone that was rumored to have at the time, you've got a player of that caliber, then I think things could have been different that series. But that's nothing that talks about this season. So let me get back to that. You have Larry Nance, who's a really good young big man. Young-ish big man. He's been in the league for a couple of years, and he was drafted a little bit older, coming out of Wyoming. Very athletic, but you have him and Drummond rounding out your big man position with Kevin Love. Kevin Love is an interesting character because I remember when he signed that contract, people were a little bit lukewarm on the contract, but the claim was always that, hey, this contract might be big, but it's going to be tradable. And that just has not come to fruition. Kevin Love does not want to be there. He's been very open about not wanting to be there and want to move on to greener pastures. But, as like I've been trying to find this Blake Griffin trade, it's hard to find a Kevin Love trade. Maybe there's a team that moves forward that has a dearth at that position and maybe brings him in. I could see maybe like a Washington, but his salary, the way that these salaries have become in the league, his salary is kind of hard to find a match. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that because Kevin Love is still a valuable player. He's still a very solid player. He's had the injury bug the last couple of years, so it will be interesting to see what he does with that. You have, like I mentioned, Larry Nice, and then you have Andre Drummond, who's been practicing shooting threes, who, a couple of them clunked off the backboard last year, but he's trying them. He's willing to shoot them. So it'll be interesting to see if he improves that at all. This is a team that definitely is in semi-purgatory. They could get the number 1 overall pick. That wouldn't surprise anybody. They want to be better, but I really don't see the path. They've had issues with GMs and they haven't had a consistent theme and message. I understand drafting the best talent with Garland and Sexton, but it doesn't really look like they have a cohesive vision of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to establish there. And I guess this league is all about talent, and if one of them ends up hitting it, that can change everything. But even when LeBron was there, they had trouble signing free agents. They had trouble. The story is that they went to Miami because Chris Bosh refused to go to Cleveland. That's how that big three in Miami got formed. So they always struck out signing players there. So it's just going to be a slow grind. It's going to be a tough build in Cleveland. We'll see if any of those players turn out. Getting to the most impactful players on the Cleveland roster, definitely, I would say more than Sexton. I would say Garland. Sexton is a very young player, and it remains to be seen what he turns out to. But it's kind of hard to change your style and your approach to the game, and he's pretty much like a hammer. There's really no finesse to his game. There's really no like reading and probing and trying to get other players involved. And, he's looking to score. He was a bucket getter in I think it was Auburn or Alabama. I think it was at Alabama. He was a bucket getter there. It looks like he's going to be a bucket. It was Alabama. He played under Avery Johnson. He was a bucket getter in college. He looks like he's going to be a bucket getter in the league. Darrius, let me see if that's right. I looked this up just to see what the kid's name was. Darrius Garland seems like he has a little bit more upside, more feel to the game. So we'll see if, he takes off this year, if this is the year that he takes off. The most intriguing player that they have on the team, it will be Okoro, and then I'm also intrigued with this Kevin Porter Jr. kid and Thon Maker. I'll start off with Okoro. I think it's obvious to see like his skills, his skill set. He attacks. He does play bigger than his frame. From what I saw, he didn't look like he was overmatched guarding the threes in the preseason game that I saw. But it'd be interesting to see what he turns out to be, if there's going to be enough touches for him, given how ball dominant Sexton is, given how ball dominant Garland is. If there's enough touches for him, that's going to be interesting. Kevin Porter Jr. was someone who at times looked better than both Garland and Sexton. The feel for the game that I say that Sexton lacks, I think he has in spades. So be interested to see what he does. It's kind of tough when you have so many young guards, all vying for minutes and all unproven. They're going to want to prove themselves on a nightly basis, and that's usually not conducive to winning. But I'm interested to see how he turns out. And then lastly, Don Maker. I think it might have been past make or break time, but we're getting to make or break time to see if he's going to end up being something. I remember watching his videos out of when he was in high school and thinking he was just the real deal. Just the handle, the shooting, and he's come to the NBA, and for some reason, he just looks so stiff. He was such a fluid mover in these videos that I saw, and I don't know if these was, video tricks that were played on me, but he hasn't looked anything close to the movement that I saw from him in high school. It's like he just got all stiff, and it's not like he gained a bunch of weight either. So this is a team, once again, that has a dearth of talent at the big man position. Nance is a very skilled player. He can shoot. He's been working on shooting threes. He's a good finisher. Drummond, his offensive rebounding is unquestioned. Defensive rebounding is unquestioned. He wants to be a bigger player in the post than he actually is, but he's willing to shoot threes. But they don't really have that much skill at the position if Kevin Love ends up moving on to greener pastures. So that might be a position where he has a bigger year. So I'm interested to see what he does. But I don't think the book has really been settled on him because I know he wants to be better than he's shown. So I would lump those guys into that. As far as postseason chances, I don't see it at all, especially when you have a situation with all the young guards that they have. It's hard to get a team to gel when it is so ambiguous and so opaque about who is the lead guard, who is the first guard off the bench. You have, literally five players who are trying to prove themselves, who want touches on the guard position. I think that just leads to chaos. So maybe you package a couple of them in a trade with Kevin Love to entice someone, maybe take him off your books. So I don't think, going back to my earlier point about them lack their ability to get free agents, I don't even think that's a smart thing for them to be doing at this time, to just passing on talent that's available to them. So that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't think they have any chances to the postseason. It's going to be a tough grind. It's really, they're going to have to strike gold with one of these picks again to really get back to where they want to be. That is the Cleveland Cavaliers, 30 teams, 30 minutes. We're going to do every NBA team leading up to the day before the NBA regular season, where we're going to do a tiered system where we tier all the West and East teams. We give our predictions, and then we go on Clubhouse and we discuss who the second best player in the league is. So if you're interested, subscribe. We're going to hit you with breakdowns of every team every week. So definitely subscribe. 30 teams, 30 minutes. We'll get at you.